You mentioned about your conversation with Sam Altman. I want to ask you one interesting question. What's the most interesting or memorable conversation you've had with the following people? Sam Altman, if any conversation apart from this, Mr. Vinod Khosla, Mr. Nandan Nilekani, and if there is any like Silicon Valley investor you really admire, any interesting conversations?
Well, with Sam Altman, the last time I met him, I asked him what is the most sort of important emergent property of generative AI LLMs. Emergent properties are basically, you're teaching this LLM English, and you're giving it all this internet stuff, and suddenly it starts speaking in Bengali. You didn't even try. You didn't even teach it Bengali, but it suddenly starts speaking in Bengali, and so on. Okay, it's almost like a real child. You grow up. Suddenly, the child knows so many other things. You only taught it these 5 things, but child has, or the youth has figured out so many other things, right? So the LLMs also exhibit some of these kind of behaviors, and they're called emergent properties. So I was asking him, out of his experience at looking at ChatGPT and the GPT models, what is the most surprising emergent property, or the most useful one, so to speak? He said chain of thought reasoning. And I don't know if you know this. If you ask math questions to ChatGPT, it is in the earlier versions, it used to answer wrongly, because this is more of a language model. Okay. So from memory, it would pick up numbers and say, okay, this number plus number. I might have seen something like this in the past in all this information, and it will guess some answer, and it will often be wrong. Right. But instead, if you say something like, I want you to give me a step-by-step account of how you came up with the answer, like a child, when you tell the child, somebody, some theorem and all, you prove this thing, you take a step-by-step approach, chances are the child will get it right. The same with the LLM too. If it starts working out the details step by step, it will actually get the same question correctly answered. Whereas when it guesses without going through step by step, it makes mistakes, right? So this emergent property is called chain of thought reasoning. And he said, this is perhaps the most interesting and useful thing. And it turns out that that is the basis of the reasoning models, the O1 and the O3 and so on, which are able to reason deeply and now able to do math at the level of the gold medal winner of the International Math Olympiad, or pass the USMLE medical exam at 91 percentile, or pass the bar exam. All of these are because of the reasoning capability. So that was very insightful that he said that chain of thought is really what the property that is really important. Nandan Nilekani, I've learned so much from him. He's brilliant in so many different ways. And some of the things that I learned from him are, one of the things is, as he's getting a lot of requests, somebody will call him and say, I need to interview you. Can you do this? Da, da, da. Then and there, he will solve it. He will say, yes, talk to my assistant, and she will set up this thing, and it's done, and I okay. He will close it then and there, everything. So his email is always 0. Okay. Wow. There is no backlog, right? If I call him, he will answer then and there, and he will address the issue then and there. There is no backlog. Let me think, and maybe, I have so many things to do, I will work on it later, and so on and so forth. Dispatch then and there. That's why he's able to do so many things, right? Wow. That's one of the things I learned from him. His ability to also delegate and ensure that large things can be, broken up and given to a number of people, but yet be able to orchestrate the solution, the overall solution. These are some things that Nandan is so brilliant at.
But any interesting conversation you remember, or?
Well, this conversation, that you brought up, after I'd finished Aadhaar and I'd moved on, and I was thinking of, what next, and, companies and startups and so on. And he asked me this question: can you build a bank for 1 billion people using 100 people? And that's what got me doing no pay and trust and so on. because beneath that question, it's not so much about, oh, if you have only 100 people, you'll save a lot of money. It's more about, if you develop a system with only 100 people helping you, you need to be completely digital, 100%. If you do that, then you will solve the problem of 1 billion people, right? That's what he was implying, right? Go out and try that. And I remember telling this to Vinod Khosla, and he went, wow, that's brilliant. That's a worthy goal to go after, and so on. So there are many, many things that I've learned from Nandan along the 20 years I've sort of worked with him.